at our table Maya Frost. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Maya is an adaptation activist and founder of Collapse Forward. You frame adaptation not only as practical response, but also as emotional and imaginative work, helping collapse-aware people turn despair into action. This is an activity that I like a lot. A lot of people can intellectually grasp breakdown, but emotionally they either shut down or drift into doom loops. What helps people cross from despair into useful adaptation, you think?
I think that for most people, it's easy to become overwhelmed, and there's sort of a cycle that we fall into. We get overwhelmed, we get anxious, we start to worry. That feeds the sense of anxiety, and we develop the habit of not acting because we're too anxious, and that just becomes a habit as well. So when you get to that point of helplessness and you feel that you don't have any agency, it's very difficult to break out of it. But there's research that has been done, in fact, very recent research in the last year or so, about that kind of anxiety and how the antidote is actually curiosity. And so it's not about being helpless and not being able to crawl out of it. It's that we've lost our sense of curiosity. So we can frame the future in terms of anxiety. I'm worried, I'm afraid of what's going to happen, or we can frame it in terms of what could it be, what might it be, and go in a little bit different direction. What's possible? What is still possible, even knowing all that we know? And that tends to open up a process of what I call rewilding our imagination, right? Because we're starting to ask questions in a different way instead of going into that same, like you said, the doom loop of like, oh, it's going to be this bad and then that's going to happen and that. We start to open up to new possibilities, and I think that is really the key to getting out of that, what I call desperalysis, right? It's despair and paralysis. It's very difficult to unlock in traditional ways. But if we think of anxiety as a habit and that worry is what's locking it in, then curiosity is a pretty appealing alternative.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, curiosity, that's the driver of so many beautiful things. I can't even think a bad one now. But what do you think, where did we lose curiosity and why?
I think part of it is really we've gotten used to, for example, if we have a question about something, we immediately go to our phone and we Google it and we get the answer. We don't spend as much time asking questions, pondering it, thinking, well, it could be that. Well, I don't know if it could be that. Well, I haven't even think about that. Well, it could be that. We don't have those processes nearly as often as we used to, because now we can just get the right answer. And so it's that process of imagining and trying to determine if this is a viable option or that isn't. It's a habit. That's also a habit. We're out of the habit of thinking in that way. And I do think it's the immediate computer, here, the answer is right here.
Yeah.
We don't have to use this.
Okay.
So
you might be not the biggest fan of AI.
Well, I can see the value of AI for some things for sure, but I also think that we already know there's research done that it's showing that it's reducing our ability to become creative because we can always ask ChatGPT or whatever, get an image, get an answer, whatever it might be. I think there's a lot of value in using it when you're considering, for example, two different options or something like that, where you want the pros and cons. But when you're starting, for example, if you're writing something and you're starting with ChatGPT instead of your own ideas, then you're really missing the process of creation and that process of curiosity, which is so essential for us, and it helps us reduce all the anxiety that we're feeling now about the future. The definition of anxiety is fear of the future. So, because we're worried about what's going to happen next, right? Whether it's my test tomorrow or my job interview, it's always about the future. So injecting curiosity, reconnecting to our own sense of wonder is extraordinary, and it really enhances our capacity to continue to learn and to see new possibilities.
So you think that reframing how we think about our own anxiety is a practical way of challenging this problem, or could you maybe give an example for an average person like me? I go, I arrive at home, I don't know, 7 p.m. after work, and I still have some stuff to do. If I just build up one habit that I can do every day to combat my anxiety and to develop my curiosity or reawaken it and my creativity, what should I do?
Mindfulness. Some kind of mindfulness practice. It doesn't have to be meditation. In fact, there are a lot of other playful, active ways to engage in mind. It could be going for a run. It could be something that gives what we need is more word-free time. Okay. That's what we're also lacking, because in our effort to stay on top of all of the information about everything that's happening, even our recreation time, our reading time, we're staying in it, right? We're staying in that anxious loop. So some kind of word-free time, whether it's a walk in the forest or just something without your earbuds in, even recreational reading before you go to bed robs your brain of that time when it's open to ideas. So any kind of, whether you're reading words, speaking words, hearing words, that is interrupting. That keeps us in executive mode in our brain. Wow. That means we're handling tasks. So if we don't allow enough word-free time, we are missing out on, that's where we have the capacity for creativity. So if you only have a tiny bit of time in your day when you're not ingesting words, listening, watching a show, reading a book, or writing in your journal even, all those things are keeping us in executive function mode. And that's really a critical problem for creativity in general.
Wow. You're changing my life in real time. To talk about collapse a little bit.
Sure.
If someone senses that the future will be harsher and less stable than the culture around us is willing to admit, where should they begin changing their own lives first? I mean, the people who might feel this.
I think in all things, whether it's about our own emotional stability, whether it's our sense of joy, whether it's our sense of agency, we need to connect with the people around us more deeply. And it sounds easy, but we live in a world of a lot of lonely people.
Yeah.
And we have developed habits that keep us separated. And it's not that it's impossible to do, but I think people have become comfortable connecting with others in ways that are not face-to-face. And maybe they wave at their neighbor before they drive into their garage, but they don't stand by the fence and talk to them, Yeah. But these are critical. If I can say one thing that I think will make a big difference in any individual person's life, is get to know your neighbors, the people around you more deeply, including the people in your own home, because we're going to need to rely on each other. We're going to need to be able to work together and collaborate and trust each other. And the more trust we build and the more time we spend doing enjoyable things together, not just work, not talking about collapse, but doing fun things together, having joy, having celebrations together, those ties are what will keep us going when things will get harder. They will get harder. And those are the kinds of that's the form of support that we are capable of building, and that's the most important to build.
Okay. One last question. I'd like to know your opinion about loneliness, because you already mentioned it, and I think we're living in the illusion that since we are reachable all the time and we're replying all the time, we're having words around us all the time, it looks like we are connecting to other people, but we're not really. Not in the human sense. Right. So how do you address the question of loneliness in your life, for example, or what do you teach to other people?
One of my clients was a woman in Japan who she made an online course on how to make friends, and she gamified it, so it was things you had to do in the real world. So even though the course was online, in order to get points for yourself, you had to say hello to someone, you had to introduce yourself to someone, you had to talk to a friend in person rather than texting or on the phone.
Cool. Yeah.
You know, so these again are habits that we've gotten out of. You know, we've gotten out of the habit of those habits.
Yeah.
So any kind of disruption in our habit of thinking that we're in constant dialogue just because we're on our phones. Mm-hmm. You know, really look at your day and how much time did you spend talking with someone directly, one person directly, and in some meaningful way, not just at work tasks or something. And most people are pretty shocked by the realization that it's not nearly as much as they had hoped that it was. So again, it's the word-free time, and it's connecting with people face-to-face where you are. Those are the key.
Okay.
Basic human things, right?
Yeah, and they're basic and they're simple, but yet they're the hardest,
Yes,
aren't they?
yes.
Yeah. But my first your delight, and thanks so much for saying these wise things, because I think we all need to learn this, and I certainly did a lot.
Oh, thank you so much.
So I'm grateful. Thank you.
My pleasure.